Argo, Affleck shows himself to be, like Spielberg and Lucas, another Hall of Famer. As a kid, it seems like in middle school.
Tom Laughlin was more than the face behind the iconic Billy Jack character. He was a complex artist, activist, and devoted husband whose story went far beyond the silver screen. Alongside his wife, Dolores Taylor, he combined film, social justice, and family to create a lasting legacy. But beneath their success and activism was a quieter story of sacrifice, struggle, and heartbreak. What really happened to this unique couple, and how did their lives reflect the causes they championed? The hidden struggles behind stardom. Tom Laughlin and Dolores Taylor captivated audiences with their films and activism, but their story wasn't without personal challenges that often went unseen. Behind the fame and success lay moments of sacrifice, health struggles, and the pressures of maintaining a legacy. Though they made powerful statements through their work, the realities they faced as a couple were deeply complex and sometimes painful. Their journey speaks to the cost of living in the spotlight while staying true to one's convictions. Tom's image as the fearless and principled Billy Jack masked a man who wrestled with the demands of Hollywood and his own health. Dolores, equally passionate, balanced her own career, and later, a retreat from the public eye to focus on family and charity. The stress of constant public scrutiny, combined with the physical toll of years dedicated to activism and art, left marks that few fans ever glimpsed. It is a reminder that behind every celebrated figure is a human story with quiet struggles. Their collaboration made a unique imprint on cinema, but it came with emotional strain. Navigating the creative partnership, public expectations, and personal health concerns sometimes created unseen tensions. Both Tom and Dolores invested large parts of their lives defending causes they believed in, yet their personal battles sometimes took a back seat. The wider story of their lives reveals a balancing act between passion, responsibility, and vulnerability. Despite the bruises beneath the surface, Tom and Dolores never stopped pushing for justice or storytelling that mattered to them. Their films and activism often exposed harsh social realities, but their own life stories showed the toll that this fight could take. Behind the calls for peace and rights was a couple dealing with the very human consequences of sustained public exposure. The depth of their experience invites a closer look beyond their iconic roles. With years spent fighting on-screen battles, the question remained, what battles did they fight off-screen? The pressures of fame and the costs of activism sometimes collided with their sense of family and health. Understanding these hidden challenges sheds light on the fuller picture of who Tom and Dolores really were. It also sets the stage for appreciating the paths they took to arrive at the moment of wide acclaim. The shadows behind their success were never fully erased, yet they remained committed to their vision and each other. Their story is one of persistence, but layered with moments of hardship that shaped their final years. This tension between public triumph and private struggle deepens the impact of their legacy. It is a tale that invites empathy as much as admiration. Their dedication to social justice and filmmaking carried them through decades of change, but heartache often walked quietly alongside them. The intersection of love, career, and activism created a narrative filled with both joy and challenge. These complexities frame the next chapter, how Tom's early life laid the groundwork for his multifaceted career. Understanding the roots of Tom Laughlin's journey reveals how his personality and passion first took shape. The path from a Milwaukee upbringing to Hollywood dreamer offers clues to the man behind Billy Jack and the activist. How his early choices and setbacks influenced his later work helps explain the intensity of his life's mission. From those formative years, Tom paved a unique way in show business, eventually joining forces with Dolores in a partnership that would help define their legacy. Their personal stories would soon blend, creating something neither could have achieved alone. Early life and passion for acting. Tom Laughlin was born on August 10, 1931 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He grew up in a working-class sort of world and went to Washington High School before landing a football scholarship to Marquette University. His college time had this kind of hot-headed vibe to it, you know. He got expelled during his second year, after a fight. That whole thing looked like a setback, sure, but it also showed how stubborn he could be. Later, it would power his creative work and activist pushes. After he left school, Tom went straight to Hollywood, kinda determined to leave a footprint. He began with small roles in recognizable projects like South Pacific and Gidget. Those early appearances gave him a feel for how the place worked, but it still didn't fully match what he wanted. What really made Tom stand out was how he could build complete characters, not just act out a role. It was a talent you didn't often see in actors back then, at least not in that same way. In 1963, he starred in The Delinquents, also a film he helped co-write and produce. It didn't explode at the box office, but it was kind of key, you know, a necessary step that put his multi-purpose talents on display. People started to see him as more than just a face in front of the camera, a creative force. And this project sort of showed what he wanted, not only to act, but to shape the narratives that end up on screen. What he did mixed craft with a message, laying a base for what came later. After that, he kept finding roles in film as well as TV, but Tom was still looking around for something that really matched his own way of seeing things. The chances he chased weren't just regular acting gigs, they required a real bond with the material and the audience, deeper than usual. His dedication to storytelling with intent became obvious as he worked on what would eventually turn into his most famous creation. Then, the 1970s came, and everything shifted a little when Tom developed Billy Jack. That character became a symbol of social justice and refusal, like a stubborn kind of defiance. This alter ego wasn't only a part to play, it was a tool for digging into topics close to his heart, in particular, Native American rights. Laughlin's abilities as an actor, a writer, and a director kind of came together inside the Billy Jack series, and that made him a special voice in Hollywood. Billy Jack's persona, half Navajo and also ex-Green Beret, kind of mirrored Tom's early noticing of what was unfair, plus that stubborn drive toward activism. IT wasn't just random inspiration either, it traced back to his youth, and the way he held his personal values close. It all fed into a character that would hit audiences who were really looking for change, not just a surface story. Billy Jack was part vigilante, part peace icon, quietly pushing back against corruption, and the usual nasty kind of bigotry too. Tom's way of making films was not exactly by the book. He threw personal effort into every small thing of production, and he often bumped up against the Hollywood machine directly. His determination to keep creative control meant he ended up with work that felt gritty, provocative, and honestly, very human. That dedication is what made him a standout figure, who sort of blurred the border between entertainment and advocacy, even if people tried to keep them separated. Still, even with the stress from his rising fame and non-stop schedule, Tom's private life was about to slip closer into his creative life. His relationship with Dolores Taylor was starting to take shape, a union that would support their professional plans and their personal path at the same time. The next stretch of years would challenge them, but also deepen what they had, in a way that probably couldn't be faked. Their story was not just about individual ambition, but about collaboration rooted in shared values and a mutual desire to impact the world through film and activism. Dolores was about to become not only Tom's partner, but a powerful force in her own right. Dolores Taylor's roots and career beginnings. Dolores Taylor was born on September 27, 1932, in Winner, South Dakota, a small town near a Native American reservation. Growing up alongside Native communities, she developed an early sensitivity to their struggles and culture. Though passionate about performing, Dolores initially pursued graphic design before finding her way to acting. Her artistic instincts and interest in justice would later become hallmarks of her career. While in college, Dolores met Tom Laughlin. Their connection was immediate, both personally and creatively. This meeting sparked a partnership that would evolve into marriage and a lifelong collaboration. They shared not only love, but a dedication to storytelling that mattered, especially stories about social justice and Native American rights. In 1967, Dolores co-produced and appeared in The Born Losers, the first film to feature the Billy Jack character. Though her role was small, the experience of working closely with Tom on a project that blended action with social commentary ignited her passion for filmmaking. She embraced the challenge of contributing both in front of and behind the camera. Her role expanded significantly in the subsequent Billy Jack films, where she portrayed Jean Roberts, the strong, independent woman who stood alongside Billy Jack in his fight for justice. This character gave Dolores a platform to express her own beliefs and became one of the early examples of a female lead who defied traditional stereotypes. Dolores's portrayal earned critical recognition, including a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress in a Drama. The role reflected her real-life commitment to peace, social justice, and Native American rights, adding depth and authenticity to her performance. She became a symbol of female empowerment in a time when such portrayals were rare. Beyond acting, Dolores took on producing roles, contributing creatively to projects like The Master Gunfighter. Her involvement behind the scenes demonstrated her versatility and dedication to shaping narratives that mattered to her and Tom. She managed to balance artistic work with her growing role as a mother and advocate. Eventually, Dolores stepped away from acting in the 1980s to focus on family and philanthropy. This decision reflected a desire to nurture her personal life while continuing advocacy in less public ways. Though less visible, her impact remained strong through the values she and Tom had championed. Her induction into the South Dakota Hall of Fame in 1996 recognized both her artistic talents and contributions to social causes. This honor celebrated her as a pioneer who brought awareness to issues often ignored by mainstream media. Dolores's legacy is as much about courage and conviction as it is about performance. Together, Tom Laughlin and Delores Taylor formed not only a creative partnership, but also a personal union deeply committed to activism and change. Their beginnings laid the groundwork for a lifetime of collaboration and advocacy, blending art with purpose in ways few couples achieve. The foundation of their journey shaped stories that went beyond entertainment, reflecting the realities and struggles that they both knew well, and prepared them for the defining work that came with Billy Jack. The birth of Billy Jack. The character of Billy Jack emerged as a bold and unconventional figure in the early 1970s, crafted by Tom Laughlin as a reflection of his own passions and beliefs. Billy Jack was not just another movie hero. He was a half-Navajo ex-Green Beret who stood firmly against injustice and defended the vulnerable. His persona combined martial arts skills with a deep commitment to peace and social fairness, setting him apart from typical action heroes of the era. Laughlin poured his creative energy into shaping this character, writing, directing, and starring in the films to communicate a powerful message. The Billy Jack series began with The Born Losers in 1967, introducing audiences to this determined and fiercely principled man. Though a low-budget production, the film tackled issues like biker gang violence and small-town corruption and achieved cult status. Dolores Taylor had a small role in this film, marking the beginning of her larger collaboration with Tom. The film's success helped solidify Billy Jack as a cultural icon who would resonate with counterculture audiences. Billy Jack gained deeper form and gravitas in the 1971 film simply titled Billy Jack, which allowed Dolores to play a larger, more meaningful role as Jean Roberts, Billy's lover, and a strong, independent woman. This film addressed more serious and controversial topics, such as the mistreatment of Native American children by wealthy townspeople in Arizona. Billy Jack's fight against these abuses positioned him as a protector and avenger, placing social justice at the heart of the story. The 1971 Billy Jack became famous for its raw portrayal of racial and social tensions, but also for its unique style. Tom's choice to use naturalistic dialogue, gritty cinematography, and non-professional actors gave the film an authenticity that separated it from mainstream Hollywood fare. The blend of action and activism created a new kind of hero, one who fought not only with his fists, but with his values. Despite critical controversy, the film struck a chord with audiences hungry for change during a time of political unrest. Billy Jack became more than a character. He became a symbol for peace, resistance, and cultural pride. The film's commercial success allowed Tom Laughlin to further develop his vision and message in future projects. In 1974, The Trial of Billy Jack was released, a sequel that raised the stakes considerably. This film centered around Billy Jack's court trial for slaying a police officer, confronting issues such as justice, media sensationalism, and America's treatment of marginalized communities. The movie was ambitious both thematically and artistically, embedding itself deeper into political discourse, even as it entertained. While The Trial of Billy Jack was commercially successful, it was met with mixed reviews from critics, many of whom felt the film was overly didactic. Tom was unapologetic about using his platform to voice his political beliefs, demonstrating the fusion of art and activism that defined his work. This entry further solidified the series as a vehicle for addressing Native American rights and social justice during a turbulent era. The final installment, Billy Jack Goes to Washington in 1977, saw the character enter the political arena directly by being appointed to the U.S. Senate. This movie, inspired by the classic Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, highlighted corruption and greed in government through Billy Jack's eyes. It showcased not only Tom's skills as a filmmaker, but also his reverence for stories that challenge authority and fight for the underdog. Despite some criticism, the Billy Jack films left a lasting legacy. They paved the way for socially conscious filmmaking and inspired countless artists and activists. The passion behind these films came from Tom and Dolores's personal commitment to causes bigger than entertainment. Their work was a testament to what can happen when art confronts injustice head-on. The boldness of Billy Jack was rooted in more than just fiction. The characters reflected a real commitment from Tom and Dolores to shed light on pressing social issues. This naturally led to a deeper exploration of how their films were used as platforms for activism and awareness. Activism through film. Beyond entertainment, Tom Laughlin and Delores Taylor saw their films as powerful tools to ignite social change. Their commitment to activism was not secondary to their artistry. It was inseparable from it. They sought to address controversial issues directly, such as Native American rights, racial injustice, and political corruption, topics that mainstream cinema often avoided or softened. Their work challenged audiences to confront uncomfortable realities rather than escape from them. The Billy Jack series stood at the crossroads of film and protest, telling stories that highlighted the struggles of marginalized communities. Tom's own awareness of Native American issues dated back to his youth, and Dolores's upbringing near a reservation added personal understanding to their mission. This connection lent both authenticity and urgency to their storytelling. They used the medium to shine a light on systemic injustices, sparking conversations that extended beyond the theater. For example, The Trial of Billy Jack brought to the forefront issues of police violence and the court system's biases, anticipating debates that remain relevant. Their films were revivals of American social conscience, rallying calls wrapped in gripping narratives. Dolores's character, Jean Roberts, was itself a statement, a woman who stood independent, courageous, and vocal about peace and justice. Through Jean and Billy Jack, the couple showcased ideals they personally championed, making their activism visible to a generation of moviegoers. They modeled resistance not only to injustice, but also to the limits traditionally placed on women and minorities in film. While their films were lauded by many, they were also met with resistance. The graphic violence and political statements were sometimes criticized as excessive or simplistic. Yet Tom and Dolores seemed to accept this tension as part of their role, to provoke thought, challenge norms, and unsettle complacency. Their work was never designed to be comfortable, but to be necessary. Tom's activism extended beyond film into politics, as he ran for president twice in 1992 and 2004. His campaigns reflected issues highlighted in his movies: campaign finance reform, tax reform, and the war on substances. Though unsuccessful electorally, these bids underscored how deeply intertwined his art and advocacy were. His public voice was always one of courage and confrontation. Dolores continued her activism through philanthropy and advocacy activities, especially after retiring from acting. She supported causes aligned with the themes of their films, helping preserve their commitment to human rights and justice. Their activism was a lifelong pursuit that evolved alongside their careers and personal lives. The legacy of their activism is seen not only in their films, but in the generations they inspired to think critically about social issues. They broke new ground by refusing to separate filmmaking from their political beliefs, creating a blueprint for future socially conscious artists. Their courage in broadcasting uncomfortable truths through popular media remains a landmark achievement. Together, Tom Laughlin and Dolores Taylor showed that film could be a weapon for change as well as a source of entertainment. Their commitment reminds us that art's greatest power lies in its ability to challenge and transform society. Their partnership embodied the rare marriage of creativity and conscience. The personal passion behind their public work eventually brought its own trials, as the intensity of activism and the demands of their careers influenced their health and family life in profound ways. Personal and professional partnership. Tom Laughlin and Dolores Taylor's relationship was kind of this rare blend of personal devotion and professional collaboration where it all felt powerful, both off-screen and on. They weren't just husband and wife. In the most plain sense, they were creative allies, really, sharing this steady, unwavering commitment to their art and also their activism. When they worked side by side, they co-produced, acted, and even wrote films that carried their shared beliefs, especially their dedication to social justice and Native American rights. Somehow, their connection made the work hit harder, and it also showed a model of unity in an industry that's notoriously hard to navigate. Dolores wasn't only Tom's wife either. She was like a driving force in a lot of his projects, including the Billy Jack series. Her performance as Jean Roberts was groundbreaking because it gave you a female lead who was fierce, independent, and genuinely principled. Honestly, that character felt like a mirror of Dolores's own convictions, merging her activism with her craft in a smooth way. So together, they delivered this authenticity and real passion in stories that mainstream cinema often ignored or just brushed past too quickly. Their work partnership was kinda built on mutual respect and on a shared vision that, honestly, went past the usual commercial win. They felt film could be more than entertainment, like a stage to educate and nudge change, so that idea colored everything they did during production. Whether they were on set or more, behind the scenes, Tom and Dolores kept this ongoing creative back and forth, which sorta kept the focus on what mattered and what stayed relevant. Trying to balance marriage with a joint career was not easy, not even close. There was always this pressure to keep up the public image while also carrying those heavy themes inside their films. So there was constant negotiating and support, almost day by day. They got through long hours, financial gamble energy, and this kind of critical skepticism that never really relaxed. And that resilience showed how deep their connection was, because they pushed through hard moments with one another's steadiness. Their personal lives and their political ideals were tied together very tightly, so much so that their art often became a straight extension of what they believed. They didn't really split personal from political, they just leaned into the controversies their work sometimes caused. That stance brought admiration, and it also brought criticism. But Tom and Dolores stayed firm on the mission. In the end, their partnership was as much about courage as it was about creativity. Their teamwork didn't just stay stuck in films, it also wandered into advocacy and philanthropy a bit. You know, the kind of thing that feels broader. Dolores eventually stepped back from acting to really put more time into family and charitable work too, so the whole legacy could stretch into new arenas. Tom kept showing up in political campaigns and public speaking, and he'd often lean on the shared lessons and the values they built together. Their collaboration kept changing shape, but it never fully faded, not even close. Those long hours of filmmaking and activism, sure, they took a toll in a steady way. Still, because they had the same purpose in mind, the sacrifices felt justified. They knew what it cost, and yet they carried on. More like a quiet duty than a dramatic vow. To them, that blend of love and labor was the core of who they were, and it's the thing that still defines what they left behind. As their careers matured and the years passed, Tom and Dolores encountered struggles that tested the endurance of their union, a reminder that even the strongest partnerships face moments of fragility. Later years present health battles. The intensity of Tom Laughlin and Dolores Taylor's lives slowly gave way to quieter, more personal battles in their later years. Both struggled with health issues that gradually limited their public presence and forced them to confront the vulnerability behind their strong public images. Tom battled complications related to pneumonia that eventually claimed his life on December 12, 2013, at the age of 82. The years leading up to his death were marked by physical decline, but also by the love and support of his family. Dolores faced her own difficult health challenges, most notably dementia, which affected her in her final years and ultimately led to her passing on March 23, 2018, at 85. This cruel illness slowly took away many of the sharpness and vitality that had defined her both on stage and behind the scenes. Despite these struggles, Dolores remained connected to her family and the causes that had shaped her life. Their health battles were a far cry from the fierce activism and energetic filmmaking of earlier decades, yet they were met with the same dignity and resilience. The couple's enduring love and mutual care provided strength through these taxing times. Their family, including their 3 children, became essential support systems as they navigated this challenging chapter. These later years highlighted the contrast between their past lives of activism and artistic vibrancy, and the quiet realities of aging and illness. It showed the human face behind public figures who had spent careers advocating for others. Their struggles invited empathy and underscored the fragility that accompanies even the most remarkable lives. Tom's daughter described him as a true American maverick, a testament not just to his work, but to his unyielding spirit. This characterization captured the essence of a man who never compromised his principles, even as his body weakened. His legacy was praised in obituaries, and by fans who remembered the courageous stands he took. Dolores's contributions were similarly celebrated, both for her groundbreaking performances and for her advocacy. Her induction into the South Dakota Hall of Fame symbolized not only her achievements, but also her role as a trailblazer for women and Native American causes in film. Her passing saddened many, but reinforced the lasting mark she made. Their final years revealed the deep humanity beneath celebrities whose public lives were often larger than life. It reminded fans that beyond the fame and activism were 2 individuals who shared love, pain, strength, and vulnerability. The story of their health battles adds a moving chapter to their complex, inspiring lives. Their personal challenges and health battles deepen our understanding of a partnership that was as much about courage in the face of adversity as it was about art and social justice. Legacy beyond Hollywood. Tom Laughlin and Dolores Taylor left a legacy that extended far beyond Hollywood. Through the Billy Jack films, they proved that entertainment could confront serious issues such as social injustice, Native American rights, peace, political corruption, and cultural representation. Their unconventional approach challenged mainstream filmmaking and gave audiences stories that reflected real social struggles. More than decades later, their work continues to inspire filmmakers, activists, and independent creators who believe storytelling can do more than entertain. It can challenge powerful institutions, spark important conversations, and encourage audiences to think differently. Dolores's portrayal of Jean Roberts also helped broaden the representation of women on screen. Rather than playing a passive supporting character, she portrayed a strong, principled woman who stood beside Billy Jack in confronting injustice. Her activism and philanthropic efforts reinforced those same values beyond film. Tom carried his activism into politics, running for president multiple times and using his campaigns to discuss issues such as campaign finance, reform, and war. Although he never won office, his political efforts demonstrated that his commitment to change went beyond filmmaking. The themes explored in their movies, including police brutality, corruption, discrimination, and the treatment of marginalized communities, remain relevant decades later. While their films sometimes drew criticism over violence and cultural representation, the controversies also encouraged continued discussion about justice and socially conscious filmmaking. Beyond their careers, Tom and Dolores built a partnership centered on creativity, activism, and shared principles. Their family and philanthropic efforts further reflected their commitment to creating a lasting impact. Tom Laughlin and Delores Taylor's story is one of love, activism, and enduring impact. Together, they used their talents and voices to fight for justice and reshape Hollywood's narrative. Their legacy challenges us to consider how art can spark change. If you found this story inspiring, please like this video and subscribe for more insightful content.